September 12th, that we had this nefarious meeting at the New York Fed with Paulson, with Geithner, with Blankfein of Goldman Sachs, with Diamond of J.P. Morgan, Lewis of Bank of America, Mack of Morgan Stanley, Thain of Merrill Lynch, the heads of Bank of New York Mellon with their $25 trillion of assets under management, the largest custodial bank, and the back office, indeed, of the TARP. The people from Wells Fargo and so forth. At that point, there was still Wachovia, but they were about to be gobbled up. And naturally, this then went through the weekend. And you'll remember that on that fateful Sunday, September 14th, it was Barclays Bank that played the treacherous role of pretending to be a buyer for Lehman Brothers and focusing the attention of the meeting on them, and then using the deus ex machina of British regulators. British regulators, this is a joke, contradiction in terms, oxymoron. The regulatory regime of Britain is tenuous to the point of being non-existent. The regulator came in and said, sorry, can't buy it. And at that point, there was no time left to improvise a sale of Lehman Brothers. So Lehman went bankrupt in the night of Sunday, September 14th. On the morning of Monday, September 15th, the Fed went wild with essentially plunge protection team operations. The Fed began flooding the system with liquidity. Everybody could get a 0% loan. The Fed would now accept stocks as collateral for the first time in a long time. Lehman stock lost 94% on that Monday, September 15th. The thing that I would point to, and that was on that Monday, September 15th, the Dow was down 505 points, which at that point was 0.75%. By Wednesday, September 17th, there was a panic run on AIG in Singapore, and we got into this area of hedge fund fratricide that as soon as some financial company turned out to be on the troubled list, the hedge funds would circle short the stock and drive it into bankruptcy. The hedge fund parasites were killing their hosts by going short, and even hedge funds one against the other. And by Thursday, you had AIG essentially gone, and so forth. Now, the thing that I would point to, though, the really big anniversary, a few days down the line now, closer to where we are in the month of September, let's focus on Monday, September 29th. This was the day where the bailout, the $700 billion for the Wall Street bandits and parasites, the hedge fund hyenas and asset strippers and so forth, the bailout reached the House of Representatives. And this was a spectacle. If you've seen this, you've seen something important about the United States, that the House of Representatives voted no to that bailout by a vote of 228 to 205. The bailout was defeated on the first vote in the House. And accompanying that, the Dow took a dive of 777 points. This was, I think, an important moment. Now, at that point, the forces, the legions of greed, organized themselves. Paulson of Goldman Sachs took a leading role. He called stupid McCain and said to McCain, "Oh, Senator, those Republicans in the House are voting against our bailout. You've got to suspend your campaign, come back to Washington, D.C., and begin to arm twist those House Republicans in particular so that they vote for the bailout," by now called the TARP, Troubled Assets Relief program. This, by the way, remember at the beginning was supposed to be to buy derivatives, to go out and buy up derivatives. The big problem, of course, is $700 billion is a lot of money, but there were already 1 quadrillion derivatives, give or take a few $100 million, in the U.S. banking and hedge fund and related systems. So what do you do to shore up a bubble of 1 quadrillion of derivatives if you're working with $700 billion? Then at that point, Paulson reversed his field in a breathtaking and indeed illegal move. He wanted to inject money into the banks, including Goldman Sachs, which at that point was on its way to becoming a bank holding company, another real joke. The Fed, of course, pumping cash into the system as fast as they possibly could, right? They were buying every federal bond, right, every Treasury security they could get their hands on. So more and more money sloshed out into the system. They were using the discount window. They were using the open market operations and so forth. And, of course, then there was this the role of McCain, which we've said, but then the role of Obama, which was to strong-arm, in particular, the Black Caucus in the House and other left-wing or self-styled progressive Democrats in the House who had voted against the bailout. And this was where Obama essentially organized the majority. He did his part, just like stupid McCain. Of course, the stupidity of McCain was that he was going to lose in the process, and Obama was going to win. Obama was instrumental in doing his own strong-arming, delivering the Black Caucus votes, delivering a lot of left-wing Democratic votes for this odious bailout of Wall Street. And the crisis then evolved from there. That's the bailout. September 29th, Monday, September 29th, 2008. The bailout defeated 228 to 205, but then it passed on the second reading. Back soon.
You're listening to GCN. The Genesis Communication Radio Network.
Welcome back to World Crisis Radio. Webster Tarpley here in Washington, D.C. Let me remind everybody of 3 pieces of indispensable reading. One is Surviving the Cataclysm, Your Guide to the Greatest Financial Crisis in Human History. You can find a way to order that at tarpley.net. Same goes for Obama, the Postmodern Coup, The Making of a Manchurian Candidate. Order that through tarpley.net. And indeed, Barack H. Obama, The Unauthorized Biography. It is simply impossible to understand the unfolding events of the world in 2009, 2010 without those 3 indispensable books. So please get them and support this kind of work. Again, tarpley.net will direct you to the relevant pages of Amazon or Progressive Press where you can buy these things. So September 29th, Monday, September 29th, 2008, the House voted 228 to 205 to reject the bailout, and Wall Street crashed by 777 points. I think that's the worst day Wall Street has ever had, even up to now. The TAF was coming into existence, the Troubled Asset Facility at the Fed, $285 billion to buy that. Term auction facility was going on at the Fed. What then happened was that other forces came in. They began telling these people in the House, you know, guys, this bailout seems to be for Wall Street. They get the money, but it's really a bailout of Main Street, because only if we bail out these zombie banks will they provide the necessary commercial bank credit for business operations in the towns and small cities where a lot of you guys come from, in rural states and outlying states and non-money center cities. And this, of course, is an absurd argument. If you want to have credit what you do is apply the law, and that means you, Sheila Bair, at the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, apply the law. If they're bankrupt, if they have 10, 12, 13, 14% of non-performing assets, they're bankrupt. Seize them, Chapter 7 liquidation, and in the process, the derivatives get shredded. But Paulson had to say, wait a minute, the derivatives are the lifeblood of our system, and of course, they're all inextricably entwined. We don't have time to unwind them. We have these toxic assets, toxic paper. We have newfangled instruments, exotic instruments, all meaning derivatives, as we've stressed over the intervening year and well before. So that is how the people in the House were then convinced to change their vote a few days later and institute this monstrosity of the TARP. We also had on October 9th, minus 679 on the Dow. There were lots and lots of aftershocks. And this indeed was the beginning.